would say, go get well. And I'd go and get my hair done and get my teeth cleaned. I'd go to the dermatologist, I'd buy new clothes, and I'd come back and I'd go, ta-da. And they'd be like, good job, good job. Because later on, it became, we are going to get you some help. We are going to send you to treatment. So I was sort of a pioneer in that they kind of learned from some mistakes that you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't tell someone to go get well. You actually say, here's what we're going to do. You're going to treatment and, you're going to have a sober companion on the set, but we didn't know. It was the 70s. We didn't know how to handle it. And so, it was just a little too early in the timeliness, the timeline of understanding how to treat a teenager with a substance use disorder who is famous, and then now we see people taking a break and going to treatment, and they come back to their job with a sober companion on the set that goes with them. And, it's a different time. It's a different world.
Yeah. When you see people then, like, to your point, like that was the 70s, like, like Drew Barrymore in the 80s and like Demi Lovato and all she's gone through, like, do you, just because you're in the business, I mean, before we get into like what you do now, I know it's what you do now, like, do you feel like the need to like reach out or offer just here's a lifeline?
I don't think that they need me. They have other experts, other people who have, and certainly I'm always available if someone wanted to reach out to me. But there was a time where I would go on, go to HLN and go on Jane Velez Mitchell and go on, this, that, or the other to comment about these news stories about people who've relapsed or who've overdosed or who are no longer, who's gone to rehab. And I don't do that anymore because I feel like I have no place doing that. I have no place commenting on someone else's recovery when I don't know them and I only know what I've read in the media. And so I'm very mindful of that. And if anyone ever did reach out to me, I would be absolutely thrilled, and it would never go past, that. It would never go, oh, guess what? David Yontef, Lindsay Lohan called me and, or whatever, whoever, so I've stopped commenting on other people's recovery. And I don't try to find a channel to reach out to other celebrities who are struggling with substance use disorder. But if they were to want to find me, they certainly could.
That makes a lot of
Does
sense.
That makes,
yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, because a lot of people do, like when Demi Lovato said the whole, like, she's California sober, which means that she still smokes pot and drinks wine. There's a lot of people that had a lot of comments. She just actually came out and said, I'm not California sober.
Yes,
I'm sober, and moderation doesn't work at all. I think that's kind of what she said.
That's basically what she said. And frankly, when the whole California sober thing came out, I got a lot of requests to comment on that in the media. And I just said, no, thank you. I have a personal opinion about it. I'm sure everyone can guess what my personal opinion is. I am, an abstinence-based person in long-term recovery, but I didn't feel the need to go, yeah, this is a really bad idea. I think most of us knew it was not the best idea. And I'm really proud of Demi Lovato for, setting the record straight based on her own experience with moderation. Now, frankly, there are some people who can moderate. They're the anomaly. I wouldn't want to go and say, well, maybe I can moderate. Let me see if I can have a little wine, because I doubt that I'm the anomaly, because I just don't think this vessel was made to put substances in it to change my state of mind. Like, that's a job I have to figure out on my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes complete sense to me. Completely. Right, because any substance you put in is going to change your state of mind. I mean,
that's yes. Right. I mean, I like, here you go. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but I do use nicotine gum. So, that's a substance, but it's not heroin.
Right. It is not heroin. No,
it's not heroin. I remember like during one of those times where I thought, oh, I'm going to see if I can drink successfully. And I remember sitting at the bar and sort of making a joke to the bartender going, well, last time I looked, there's no heroin in this Cabernet. And alcohol brought me to my knees. So I have evidence to the contrary. California sober moderation, not for me, won't work.
That makes
And
a
I
lot
think
of sense.
everybody, some people have to figure it out on their own.
Right. And like you say, like props to Demi for saying, this is what I'm doing. And now
Yeah.
I did it. I meant it at the time, but wait, it actually doesn't work for me. So now I'm
Right.
not. Like, that's
Yeah.
great. Like, that's what it's all
It's
about.
so admirable. It's such a good
Yeah.
thing that she did that. Props to Demi.
That's what I think. Was
Yeah.
the airport incident like your final straw? Like you said, like the book, like you already had, or was it really like writing the book? Like what was really like your like, okay, this is it.
It was a confluence of nightmarish events, and people quite often say, well, we're not going to send him to treatment until he hits bottom. I'm telling you, people, with fentanyl out there today and the severity of substance use disorders today, if you wait for someone to hit their bottom, you might be waiting, they might just die. And you have then you're completely powerless. So don't wait for someone to hit bottom, because there's always a bottom below the bottom below the bottom below the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And death is final. So let's try to avoid that, right?
That's right.
Was the process of writing High on Arrival though, like just completely, cathartic? Like
it wasn't really cathartic. I'm not a big fan of catharsis or closure, but it was meaningful and it was important. And it was something that I had been approached to write about since I was 20. And here I am 30 years later, finally writing about it. I remember maybe 10 or 12 years before High on Arrival, I was working with this amazing rock and roll music writer. I won't name him. And we were going to do the book. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I wasn't ready. I couldn't speak my truth. So I said, you know what, publishing people, I can't take your money because I'm not ready to tell the whole story. I'm not. Because if I tell it now, I'm going to leave stuff out. And so when I was finally ready to speak my truth, it was meaningful and exciting and scary. And yeah, it was a thing. And if you're looking for that moment that changed me or flipped me, nah. It was a bunch of moments that led up to a reality, a realization, change or die.
Well, kudos to you for not taking their money and putting out, a book, because lots of books go out that are autobiographies or someone's story that, maybe are not the whole truth.
Well, I've actually thought about writing a follow-up to High on Arrival and calling it Everything I Left Out. But I would just piss everybody off again. So I won't be doing that.
I don't know. It's long enough. Like, I think, maybe
when I'm 70.
Okay. I'm just going to put that out there. How did you get into your current Breathe Life Healing Center that you?
Well, when I was a little girl, I remember going up to my mom and saying, and she told this story, like at cocktail parties and stuff over the years. One day, this little girl over here came up to me and said, Mommy, I want to be an abnormal psychiatrist. I guess that's what they called it back then, because